I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I call the March 23rd, 2021, 3 p.m. session of the Henry County Board of Supervisors to order. I'd like to welcome all of our visitors that we have here today. Remind you, if you want to be placed specifically on the agenda to address the board, you'll need to contact the County Administrator's Office at least 7 days in advance of any of our regular meetings. However, we do allow members of the public to address the board on the matters presented by the public later into today's meeting, which is actually in our 6 p.m. session. Again, welcome everyone. Our first item of business consideration today is agenda item number 5. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the items of consent be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer? Agenda item number 6. We have a couple proclamations. 6A. Mr. Bryant, would you be so kind as to reading this proclamation for the board's consideration?
Yes, sir, I will. The proclamation is established on March the 28th through April the 3rd, 2021 as Boys and Girls Club Week. And it reads as, whereas the young people of Henry County are tomorrow's leaders, and whereas many young people need professional youth services to help them achieve their full potential. And whereas there are 2 Boys and Girl Club organizations in Henry County, Virginia, including Sandville Elementary and the Teen Center, that serves more than 360 young people annually. And whereas Boys and Girls Club instill young people with self-confidence to believe that they can succeed at anything they put their mind to, and stand at the forefront of efforts in these areas of academic success, healthy lifestyle, good character, and citizenship. And whereas Boys and Girls Club organizations in Virginia help ensure young people have a self-supportive place to spend time and will provide them with a quality youth development program. And whereas the Boy and Girls Club of the Blue Ridge will celebrate National Boys and Girls Club Week with some 4,000 clubs and over 2 million more children and teens nationwide. Therefore, it be proclaimed on this, the 23rd day of March, 2021, that the Henry County Board of Supervisors proclaim March the 28th through April the 3rd, 2021 as Boys and Girls Club Week in Henry County. Furthermore, the board encourages all county citizens to join the board in recognizing and commending the Boys and Girls Club for providing the young people of our community with comprehensive and effective youth development services. Signed, Jim Adams, Chairman, Henry County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer, Mr. Bryant, if you and Ms. Buchanan would make this presentation. We have with us Johnny Petty from the Boys and Girls Club. If you all will make that presentation on behalf of the board.
It's so good to see you too. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Ms. Petty, if you'll also mention something I received in the mail, as well as a number of others, mention the virtual Youth of the Year.
Yes. So this week that we are recognizing, we're doing it over the kids' spring break, and we do it every year in the school to recognize our clubs and our after-school programs. We typically choose out of our teens a Youth of the Year candidate. And that candidate represents not only our club, but also represents Martinsville-Henry County in a statewide Youth of the Year competition that this year will take place in Roanoke, Virginia. However, it is virtual. Tanaya Starkey is our Youth of the Year candidate, and she is a student at Magna Vista High School. So we're very proud of Tanaya. She comes to our teen center every day, does school virtually, and then she also participates in basketball. She was an advocate for girls basketball continuing to happen under safe precautions, and she has continued to be a voice of reason and also leadership at our club with our teens and our other youth in our elementary school sites. So what you've received in the mail is a request for support for her becoming our Youth of the Year candidate, and that support goes to provide her a scholarship at the end of her graduating year for whatever school she decides to go to. So, but we are so appreciative of the support of the county every year and what all you do to provide after-school and out-of-school programs for our kids. So, thanks. Do y'all have any other questions?
All right, thank you, Joni.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good afternoon.
You as well. 6B, we have a consideration of a proclamation recognizing National Library Week. Dr. Martin, would you present this or read this proclamation on behalf of the board?
Proclamation, National Library Week 2021. Whereas libraries are not just about what they have for people, but what they do for and with people. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions, and library workers and librarians fuel efforts to better their communities, campuses, and schools, and whereas librarians are leaders in their institutions and organizations, in their communities, in the nation, and the world, and whereas libraries and librarians look beyond their traditional roles and provide transformative opportunities for education, employment, entrepreneurship, empowerment, and engagement, as well as new services that connect closely with patrons' needs. And whereas libraries support democracy and affect social change with a commitment to providing equitable access to information for all users regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas libraries, librarians, library workers, and supporters across America are celebrating National Library Week. Therefore, be it resolved or proclaimed on this 23rd day of March 2021 that the Henry County Board of Supervisors proclaims April 4th through 10th, 2021 as National Library Week in Henry County. Furthermore, the board encourages all residents to reach out to the library this week, explore what's new at your library, and engage with your librarian. Signed, Jim Adams, Chairman, Henry County Board of Supervisors. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve this proclamation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. I'm going to ask Dr. Martin, Mr. Slaughter, and Mr. Zaire if they will present this on behalf of the board. We have with us to accept Betsy Haskins, Margaret Caldwell, and Debbie Youngman.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
So we have to come by and meet you all now, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
That's right. We want you all to walk in the doors of your library. Thank you so much for allowing us to come and for paying particular attention to this. We really value the Board of Supervisors and our wonderful relationship. Thank you, one and all.
One of the things I'd like to mention, something that caught my eye recently was you all stepping up with actually bridging a gap of technology where those choosing to participate can check out hotspots.
Isn't that wonderful?
I think that is just terrific for our area and the education needs of our students as well as the
Also,
adults.
If I could just add one thing, we have ordered Chromebooks that will also be able to be checked out when they come.
I did see on a social media post where someone was desperately seeking something to bridge the gap for like 2 days needed before they started some new employment. So you all are filling those gaps.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 7, we'll have a report on delinquent tax collection efforts. We have with us County Treasurer Scott Grindstaff. Scott, welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. This is our report for the end of February. As of February 26, 2021, our personal property collection rate is 89.20% of the 2020 personal property tax. During the month of February, we collected $299,790. Real estate collection as of February 26, we have collected 92.30% of the 2020 real estate tax. The amount collected in the month was $271,666. And since the 1st of January, TACS has collected $174,146. And so far this year, or in March, we had 130 DMV stops collected, and we still have a week to go. If you look at those 3 figures for March, February, and January, we've already collected more than we did all of last year. And you realize that I told you in January we sent a new file in, plus with the DMV's backlog and closed last year. This has really increased the number we've been able to collect.
Any questions from Mr. Grindstaff? All right, thank you. We will skip agenda item number 8. Mark is unable to be here for this part of our session today. We do need to take care of one little housekeeping business before we take up 9A. Since this was not, from a time standpoint, advertised X amount of days prior to a meeting, I will need a motion, second, and carry to add this to our agenda for consideration.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we add item 9A, additional appropriation regarding additional state funds for the school board.
Second.
Have a motion, second. All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. 9A, under financial matters, additional appropriation referencing additional state funds for the school board. Mr. Hall.
The school board is requesting that the Board of Supervisors approve an appropriation to the current year budget in the amount of $489,024. The funds were allocated by the General Assembly and the Virginia Department of Education to address learning loss resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic and modifications to facilities to assist with COVID-19 mitigation strategies for in-person learning. Mrs. Strayer and members of her team are here should you have any questions regarding this item.
Okay, the board has it, the background material not only on the iPads, but as well as a hard copy in front of you. Are there any questions prior to us considering this? With that, I'll accept the motion that we approve the appropriation.
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that approval of appropriations of $489,024 to the fiscal 21 school board budget for the purpose noted above.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 10, a consideration of resolution regarding Comprehensive Community Corrections Act and Preferred Services Act. Mr. Hall.
Henry County, Patrick County, the city of Martinsville, and Franklin County are 4 of only 5 localities in the Commonwealth that currently have neither local probation nor pretrial services. Staff has had informal discussions with officials from Halifax County, which is the closest entity within the region currently providing these services, regarding possibly expanding these services into Henry County. As the program currently exists, we would have to partner with Halifax County to extend these services. Grant funds are now available to make this a reality. Halifax Pennsylvania Court Services currently provides pretrial services and local probation to Halifax County, Pennsylvania County, and the city of Danville, with Halifax County serving as the fiscal agent, and that would be the same process to bring these services to Henry County. Staff has discussed this possibility with our sheriff and the Commonwealth's attorney, and they both support this effort to provide these services. To begin the process, the attached resolution would need approval by the board. And just as an aside, Henry County will not be responsible for any costs with these programs, except for potentially having to provide some office space.
Okay, the board has had this as part of your working papers, and we've heard the background material on this. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve the resolution as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 11, we'll take up informational items, beginning with comments from the board. I'll start with Mr. Zaire.
No, sir.
Dr. Martin.
No, sir.
Mr. Bryant.
No, sir.
Ms. Buchanan.
No, sir.
Mr. Slaughter.
Well, I'll break the record. Yes, I want to say something. I'm going to get on my soapbox again, and it's a litter in Henry County. I was at a business a couple weeks ago, and the owner come to me while his grandson was inspecting my car. He said, Tom, he said, I know how we were when we worked for the city about litter. And he said, I just moved my daughter back from granddaughter back from California. He said, I drove all the way from California back here to Norfolk, where she's going to. And he said, I saw one place in the middle of some little desert that was as nasty as Henry County. And I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, we see the roads all the time. I just called last week and got them to pick up the Kohler Road and 457. And today, you can't hardly tell that either one of them was picked up. I don't know what we're going to do. You know, we're busting our butts trying to get businesses in here to give the folks jobs. But if I was moving here, I know Tim told us this coalition that they had together for the last one that we got. If I was here and saw the nastiness, I might could say we got good people, we got good work habits, we got everything, but I'd have to say that it's the nastiest bunch of people I have ever seen. I don't know why they can't get a trash bag in their car and stuff or throw it in there instead of throwing it out on the side of the road. And I don't know if it's a sheriff's department, we need to make some charges. If it's a court system that needs to convict some people of it. You know, back when I was a kid, there was a group of kids, probably not anybody here old enough to remember that, but they was going around turning over tombstones and stuff. The judges took those kids and made them get out there on the side of the road and pick up trash. And I've talked to a lot of them, knew a lot of them. And they said that was the most embarrassing thing that had ever happened. You know, talking to Mike Amos the other day, because I found a bunch of tires dumped on the side of the road, and talking to Mike, he said, Tommy said, it's probably the guy that I charged one time before. Said he went to court, the judge fined him $15. Said he laughed at me when he went out the door. And so, I don't know. The legal system is going to hell. I mean, and I'm upset that I worked for it for 25 years, but I just don't understand why these folks that are going in there and they're giving them no time or not putting them out there and making them pick up trash, or, you know, we got inmates that are out here every day that can, picking up stuff, trying to make it look better, and still, it don't seem to affect them. But I think if some folks were charged and they were put out there on the side of the streets with those orange bags, and their buddies was passing by or their friends was passing by and blowing the horn and waving at them, I think it would make a mental difference to them. So, for what it's worth.
Mr. Adams, can I
Yes, sir.
interject something?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I agree with Mr. Slaughter 100%. And it's not only the trash that concerns me, it's the dilapidated houses that we have in the area, the tore down houses, the houses that are falling down, that has not been addressed or attended in so many years. It's not only that, it's people's yards and stuff like that that grow up trash in the yards and stuff like that. Of course, we have the service department that looks after them when we call them and stuff like that, but there's vast majority of people out there that just don't care. And you get on them, serve them a notice, next month, it's the same thing. You know, it's the same thing. You know, somehow, some way, we're gonna have to do a better job as a county to start enforcing these houses that are dilapidated, that's fell down. These people that has yards and stuff like that are extremely messy. Nobody wants to live beside someone that's got crap laying all out in the backyard. I've had several people that come into my business, and yesterday, matter of fact, I've got to go check one out sometime this week, that a person called me about. It's horrible, you know, it's absolutely horrible. And, you know, it's something that, as you can tell, Mr. Slaughter is really concerned about it. I've been concerned about it. You know how I've been pushing to try to get some places in my district taken care of. But it's not only in my district, it's in every one of our districts. You know, we are all fighting the same problem. It's not just one problem. We're fighting these multiple problems. And I'm like Tommy, I'm frustrated with it. I don't know how to handle it. When people call me on it, I don't know what to tell them, because when I tell them that I'm gonna get somebody to look at it, they'll go out and look at it, they'll serve them papers. Next month, it's the same way. You know, they call me back again saying, I thought you was gonna get this taken care of. I did get it taken care of, but it's over and over and over and over. Somehow, some way, we collective as a county governed body of supervisors has got to get together and come up with a way that we can address this problem and take care of this problem. When we have people that's coming from this area to move into this area, to look in this area, I'm just like Tommy. I've called Mike Amos also, myself. These roads are terrible, you know, and you can go out and pick them up, and 2 days later, they're the same way. You know, it's just, until somehow we can enforce and put people's name in the paper and embarrass people, you know, I don't know what we're gonna do, but somehow, some way, we're gonna have to take a better stance in what we're doing.
Great. Thank you. I think each board member shares the disgust with this, and that will be something moving forward, and I'm sure that will continue to be a part of our dialogue. We actually had a speaker at last month's nightly meeting that was addressing the same issues. So thank you both for your comments. I have one thing, and we need to sort of meld this together with county administrator and staff's consent. We have a wonderful county staff. We have wonderful county employees in every aspect that have moved forward a frustrating process during the COVID crisis that we've had over the last year. They've taken probably not deserved criticism when there was nothing that they could do in the middle of it, both verbal, written, otherwise. But instead of letting that frustrate them, what do? They go out and volunteer. They volunteer at the COVID testing site, many of our employees. They volunteer on the vaccination site. We have had, as a result of our volunteers, a smooth working operation, and a lot of that is our county staff and employees. You say, well, you know, they're paid by the county. Yeah, they are, but they're doing this as volunteers. Not every employee goes out, but they're picking up the slack to allow someone else to go out. And in some instances, it's during our 9 to 5, so to speak, during the weeks. And in a lot of instances, it's been on weekends. With that, I think as a board, we have an opportunity to recognize that in a positive way. From time to time, we've given early outs, we've given half days. there is a significant gap between the last county holiday and the next county holiday, which won't be until May 31st. School system, as I understand, is off all of next week, is that correct? Mr. Hall, if this board were to name Friday, April 2nd as a complete day off, would you all be able to handle it?
Oh, I think we can handle that.
Would you be able to?
Yeah, first of all, we're honored and blessed to work here. And I realize that every day my key still fits the door. That's a good day when I can come in and work here. But just to echo Mr. Adams, our folks have worked their guts out and continue to work their guts out on COVID-related issues, as well as backfilling a budget that has holes in it because of COVID, all sorts of other issues. So absolutely, we could work that in, and I'm sure that our employees would be most gratified by that action.
I'll accept a motion from the board.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? It's 6-0. Jennifer, that's all I have, Mr. Hall.
All right, I've got several items for you. First, you have in front of you a marked up budget calendar. We have to make some further changes to our budget calendar. And as you look at that, if you read down to where it starts in red, under present total county budget to the Board of Supervisors, we would offer that we would now do that on either April the 13th or April the 14th. Staff is ready to do either one of those days. We can do that at 5 o'clock as we normally do it, but we would recommend shifting to one of those days. We follow that with a work session. We would recommend that work session take place on Thursday, April the 15th, or Friday. We can move it to Friday, April the 16th, if that helps anybody. We would need to advertise a public hearing on April the 18th. A public hearing is required for both budgets. We are recommending one of 2 days, April the 27th, which is also your regular board meeting in April. That would make for a long day, but it would certainly make everything concise to one day. Or if you wish not to do that, you could do it on Wednesday, April the 28th. Some of us have another obligation for most of that day, but we could have the public hearing that night. It just makes for a long day, but certainly we're willing to do that as a staff, whatever the board wishes to do. And then to adopt the school budget and the total county budget, we would need a special meeting to get it done on a timely basis. And we're recommending either May 4th or May 6th for that special meeting to adopt. Each of those 2 days was already on your calendar from the second adjustment to the budget calendar, so those dates are probably already circled on your calendar. So we can make any of that work, whichever direction, whichever dates you wish to go forward with. Staff will be there and be ready.
I know that that's a lot of dates to absorb. Is there anything that clicks with anyone that is a preferred not to do date?
I'll be out of town the 15th through the 19th, so April 15th for the work session wouldn't work for me. I could do the 14th, but
We could present the budget on the 13th and do a work session on the 14th, if you want to do it that way. That would allow Mr. Zayer to attend.
as long as it works for everybody else. That's the only conflict I have that I can see.
All right, any other dates?
I know we had May 4th and May 6th.
And that's a Tuesday and a Thursday.
Is there any way to maybe move that to the 10th?
Yes, sir. We just have a deadline of May the 15th to adopt, so certainly anything after that. I just chose those 2 days because it was already circled, but yeah, we can move to the 10th if that works for the board.
Is that the school board budget?
Well, that's the adoption of both the
Yeah,
county.
right.
That's adoption of
County and
budget.
school budgets. May the 10th, what is May the 10th?
It's a Monday,
It's Monday?
or Tuesday, or Wednesday.
At what time?
Sound like we've got it worked out. If,
What time?
later in a
Later in
email
the day.
versus
Later in the day.
staff numbers, if you or someone from the staff will make sure that we email that out.
Sure. We would need a motion to make adjustments to the budget calendar.
Yes.
And then we can follow up with a clean list to you on the dates.
All right, I'll accept a motion with
So
the
moved.
noted changes that we
Second.
amend the budget calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just
All in favor?
one
Oh, excuse
question.
me.
On the April 27th or 28th, do either one of those dates conflict with any of y'all? The other Board of Supervisors meeting on the
The
27th.
27th is better. Do it all in one day. What you think? I mean, while we're here,
We'll do whatever works for you guys.
yeah, while we're here, that way we won't have to come back.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right, so that'll be the 27th for the
Yeah.
public hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So let me make sure I've got these. April the 13th to present it, April the 14th, a work session. Advertise on April the 18th, public hearing on April the 27th, and adoption on May the 10th. But we'll codify that and get it out there.
All right.
Thank you.
We have a motion and a second, and any other discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer.
All right, my second item, as you know, the county allocates money annually to the Virginia Department of Health, the local office. Sometimes they spend what we give them completely, sometimes they don't. This year, they have a carryover amount that is actually money owed back to the county. That carryover amount is $14,177.65. VDH asked if the board would approve them keeping that money. They cited COVID concerns and staffing concerns. Staff's opinion is that while we appreciate what they do and have done, we have the same concerns. And we're not sure how our budget's going to look going forward either. So it's staff's recommendation that you direct us to contact VDH and say that with all due respect, we would like to have that county money returned to the county. But if you want to go the other way, they're certainly going to make that possible as well.
Okay. Is there a motion to follow staff's recommendation in regard to that?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion or clarification needed?
Mr. Hall,
Yes, sir?
VDH, did they receive CARES money or any sort of those funds?
I'm sure they've received extensive CARES and COVID money just because of their role in.
And just like we did as a county?
Exactly, that's correct. That's correct.
Any other discussion or questions? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer.
All right, we mentioned earlier, this is sort of tangentially, we're doing the vaccination pods, our public safety office, our law enforcement, and some of our staff members. Those are going unbelievably well. It's really, particularly, I worked the one at the Speedway where 2,149 people got vaccinations. That's a long day for a old fat guy to stand on his feet. So I was not much the next day, but to watch people come in and the genuine love of what was being done for them was really incredible to watch. So if you want to volunteer, as Mr. Adams has alluded to, we've got multiple opportunities coming up. Just let us know. We'll get you in touch with Matt and his folks, and I'll get you scheduled. But it is certainly an invigorating process. Once you get home and soak your feet, you'll feel a whole lot better. But to be there is a really cool thing to do. Number 4, race weekend. It's not really a weekend, but it's coming up. Thursday, April the 8th is the Virginia for Lovers 200. Friday, April the 9th is the Cookout 250 Xfinity race. And Saturday, April the 10th is the Cup race, the Blue Emu Max Pain Relief 500. All 3 of those will be night races for the first time in the track's history. Should be an interesting and really kind of a cool stretch. As I understand it from Mr. Campbell, and he'll be here tonight for a separate matter if you want to ask him about it, but as I understand it, they're expecting to be able to have around 9,000 to 9,500 folks in attendance at each one of those races, which when we were here last year and it got moved to June, there were 0. So we're hopeful that this is a growing trend. But as always, we would ask folks to be good to the folks that come in. It's amazing what an impact can be made when someone stops and buys gas and is greeted warmly, or stops to buy food or a lottery ticket or whatever. It's the community's responsibility to be good hosts, and we're hopeful that folks will do that. And then 2 more items. The John Red Smith project, we got state designation as a historic structure last week, which will certainly accelerate this process. It goes to the federal level, but generally that takes a lot less time once the state designates it. And once we get those designations, the developer will be able to really kind of hit the gas on the redevelopment of that process. So we're excited about that. And the final thing, I thought we got excellent coverage on the Jack Dalton Award presentations that were in the media over the weekend. And Dale, myself, and Michelle were all part of those, and I know Ms. Buchanan was there as well. It was really gratifying to see those folks really be appreciative of being recognized. And, you know, we can brag all we want about volunteering for a few hours, but those folks do it every day. That's their life. And they hop up the next day and get it done again. So they are absolutely the heroes in this, and it was an honor to be part of that. So I appreciate you guys authorizing that and presenting that to them as the Jack Dalton Award winners. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, are there any other items prior to us going into closed meeting? If not, I'll entertain a motion if someone will cite the permitted codes allowing us to go into closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board convene in a closed meeting as permitted under the following sections of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, 2.23711A1 for discussion of appointees to the Henry County, Martinsville Department of Social Services, and West Piedmont Planning District Commission, 2.23711A1 for discussion of pending legal matters, 2.23711A3 for discussion of acquisition, disposal of real estate, 2.23711A5 for discussion of as yet unannounced industries.
Second.
We have a motion, second. All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer, see you all upstairs at 5.
Items as in the motion to enter closed session.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Martin?
Yes, sir.
Brian?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Buchanan?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Slaughter?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Ms. Buchanan, I believe that you have a district appointment for the board's consideration.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Let me get it, hold on. I move that the board appoint Paul Kennedy to a term on the Social Services Board. It's an unexpired term that will end May 31st, 2024.
Second.
Have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. And Mr. Slaughter, I believe that you have a appointment for the board's consideration.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we reappoint West George to the West Piedmont Planning District for a term for 4 years, to begin May the 1st, 2021, and end April 30th, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer. Mr. Hall, are there any other items that we need to consider before taking a recess?
None that I'm aware of, sir.
Board members, do you have any?
No,
I'll
sir.
declare a recess until we start our 6 p.m. session. I'll call the 6 p.m. session of the March 23rd, 2021 meeting of the Henry County Board of Supervisors back to order from our recess. I'd like to welcome all visitors. Remind you, if you want to address the board, you must sign up 7 days in advance of this meeting to be put on the agenda. The county administrator is the contact person for the board. However, the public may address the board under the agenda item, matters presented by the public, later in tonight's meeting, which is an agenda item. We have numerous public hearings tonight. We are right at the limit of what we've tried to maintain as far as number of people for proper social distancing to comply. We usually try to stay in the 25 range. I think we're in about the 30 range right now. So if you must leave after your item on the agenda comes up, please do so respectfully, because we will continue with business promptly after each item is taken up. Again, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming out and participating in your county government. Our first item of business is agenda item 13, general highway matters and consideration of a resolution referencing the roads and Commonwealth Crossing Business Center. We have with us Lisa Hughes from VDOT. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you. The resolution would be for the acceptance of streets within the Commonwealth Crossing. The mileage totals a little over a mile and a tenth. And that final action will be taken by the Commonwealth Transportation Board. But we recommend accepting those streets.
All right, if you'll pause there for a moment, I will accept a motion, because the board has part of its working papers, the resolution, and has had time to review it. I will accept a motion for the approval of the resolution.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the resolution granting the right-of-way to the Virginia Department of Transportation.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer?
And thank you. Just a few quick items. Our slurry seal work is going to start April the 5th. We're going to be working in a lot of subdivisions. Patrick Henry Farms, Hillcrest, Riverview Court, Circle Drive, those neighborhoods south of Martinsville, Vena Avenue, streets within Lakewood Forest and Edgewood and Ridgeway. So that'll be coming up. I did want to update you on the Virginia Avenue Pedestrian Improvement Project. That's your smart scale project. It is going to be advertised May the 25th. So that's good news. That's considerably quicker than we had planned, and that's going to allow us plenty of time to get that project done this year. That's the way it looks right now. I did want to make you aware of the public hearing, the virtual public hearing on the intersection improvements along the 220 corridor, which in Henry County would be there at Dyer Street. That's on April 21st from 5 to 7. And I can give you the website, but if you go to VDOT's website, and it's Route 220 intersections, but it's going to start with a presentation and then a kind of like a web chat format if you have questions to ask, and of course we'll take online comments. Also, on May the 5th is going to be our spring transportation meeting. That will also be virtual, and I don't have any details on that right now other than the date. And looking into May, I'd like to ask you to consider having your 6-year secondary public hearing, if we could do that at the May board meeting.
Okay.
And I'll set that up. And that's all I had.
Does anyone have anything for Lisa tonight? Lisa, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll take up agenda item 14, and prior to that, in all public hearings, including matters presented by the public, I'd like to read a brief board policy statement. This is a time for public comment. We welcome your participation in tonight's meeting. We're here to listen to you. If you care to address the board, come to the podium, state your name for the record. Of course, the subject matter, other than matters presented by the public, will be the public hearing subject matter and the district in which you will live. By coming to the podium, you've agreed you'll exhibit respect for the board and its members. The members of this board are committed to giving you the same consideration. Please keep any presentation to around 3 minutes. With that, agenda item number 14, we're holding a public hearing for the proposed ordinance regarding a Martinsville Speedway cooperative marketing agreement. Mr. Hall.
The board is being asked to approve an ordinance to allow a cooperative marketing agreement between the Martinsville Speedway and WinBet, a Virginia sports betting permit holder. Any marketing activities as part of the marketing agreement must be conducted in compliance with the existing zoning and other site plan authorizations permitted for the Martinsville Speedway site. Before the board can consider the ordinance, it must hold a public hearing to allow public comment on the proposed ordinance. The public hearing has been properly advertised and scheduled for this meeting. Mr. Campbell with the Speedway is here should you wish to hear from him or ask him any questions.
Okay, with that, I will open the public hearing at 6:05 to take input. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in regard to this in a public hearing? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close it at 6:05. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move the board approve the proposed ordinance allowing Martinsville Speedway to enter into a cooperative marketing agreement with WinBet.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is opposed? We have 5-1. Jennifer. Agenda item number 15, public hearing for proposed amendment to the FY 2021 school budget and total county budget. Mr. Hall.
The school board has received $8,037,505 in coronavirus response and relief appropriations and elementary and secondary school emergency relief 2 funds. The school board has indicated it will use the funds for essential instructional and maintenance supplies, personnel costs, and school facility upgrades. The Board of Supervisors must hold a public hearing in order to amend the FY 2021 budget and appropriate these funds. Whenever a budget is altered by more than 1% of the total budget, a public hearing is required. Following the public hearing, staff will ask the board to approve an appropriation of $8,037,505 to the school system. The public hearing has been advertised and scheduled for this portion of the meeting.
I will open the public hearing at 6:07 to take input. Is there anyone wishing to address the board on this public hearing, proposed amendment to the FY 2021 school budget? Anyone? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:07. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the appropriation of $8,037,505.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer. Agenda item 16, public hearing, passage of resolution authorizing the issuance of general obligation refunding bonds. Mr. Hall.
Last month, the board heard a presentation regarding the opportunity to issue a Virginia Public School Authority general obligation bond to refund the existing lease revenue bonds issued by the IDA to finance Meadowview Elementary School. The refinancing has the potential to save approximately $1 million over the life of the bond. To move forward with issuing the new bond, the board must hold a public hearing on this matter and adopt a resolution authorizing the bond's issuance. The public hearing has been properly advertised for this meeting, and we're joined by R.T. Taylor with our financial advisors from Davenport and Richmond, should you have any questions specific to the process of this refinancing.
I'll open this public hearing at 6:08. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in regard to this? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:08. What is the pleasure of the board in regard to this item?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend the approval of the appropriate resolution authorizing the insurance of bonds to refinance loans held on Meadowview Elementary School.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? 6-0. Jennifer. Agenda item 17, public hearing for rezoning application R-21-04. Scott Fry / Stemmel Associates. Mr. Lee Clark, Director of our Planning and Zoning, is here to give the board background material.
Okay, this property is located at 3446 Virginia Avenue. It's in the Collinsville District, and the tax map number is 29417, lot 52A. The applicant here is requesting the rezoning of just over a half acre from suburban residential district to commercial district B1. The applicant intends to use the subject property for an adjacent parking lot in conjunction with the planned restaurant to be developed on Virginia Avenue. Following a public hearing, both the Planning Commission and staff both recommended approval of this request.
I will open the public hearing to take input on this at 6:10. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in regard to this rezoning application? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:10. Mr. Brown, I believe this is in your district.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I recommend that the rezoning request be approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0. Jennifer. Agenda item 18, public hearing, rezoning application R-21-05. Donna T. Malott. Mr. Clark.
Okay, this property is located at 3090 Mount Olivet Roads in the Iriswood District. Tax map number is 43.5, lot 56. The applicant here is requesting the rezoning of approximately 12 acres from suburban residential district to rural residential district. The applicant intends to remove the old house from the property and replace it with a manufactured home. Following a public hearing, both the Planning Commission and staff felt the requested rural residential zoning district did not fit the existing surrounding neighborhood. Therefore, the recommendation was to deny the request.
I'll open the public hearing at 6:11 to take input. Is there anyone wishing to address the board on this rezoning application? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:11. Dr. Martin, I believe this is in your district.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I did a little bit of work on this. particularly since the applicant in her letter said, I know the neighbors don't want mobile homes on this road because it lowers the value of their home. I did a survey of 5 properties adjacent to this, and they range in value from $97,000 to $146,600. And the current property is $71,100. So based on that, I concur with the Planning Commission and ask that this application be denied.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0. Jennifer? Agenda item 19, public hearing, rezoning application R-21-06, Christina N. Porter. Mr. Clark.
Okay, this property is located at 263 George Hairston Road. It's in the Blackberry District. Tax map number is 278, lot 92. The applicant here is requesting the rezoning of approximately 5.6 acres from rural residential district to agricultural district A1. The applicant wishes to keep chickens, which is an allowed use on agricultural zone property. Following a public hearing, both the Planning Commission and staff recommended that the rezoning request be approved.
I'll open the public hearing on this at 6:13. Is there anyone wishing to address the board on this rezoning application? Anyone? Seeing and hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:13. This is in my district. I did go out and visit the property. I've also looked on the county GIS. Basically, almost all of this property is surrounded by A1. It's just like a peninsula with the exception of where it enters the highway. No doubt about it, going into George Hairston, it's SR, and they're beautifully maintained homes, but the setback on this house and property is adequately sufficient and screened. And I concur also with the Planning Commission and staff if someone will make that motion on my behalf.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board approve the rezoning request.
Second. We have a motion and multiple seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item number 20, public hearing for consideration of relocating Mountain View voting precinct number 405. Mr. Hall.
The Henry County Electoral Board wishes to move the Mountain View number 405 voting precinct from the VFW building on Old Chatham Road to the Woodland Heights Free Will Baptist Church on the same road. General Registrar Dawn Stoltz-Vaughn will attend this meeting to provide additional information. A public hearing is required before moving forward with the change to the ordinance, and the public hearing has been advertised and is scheduled for this time.
I will open the public hearing at 6:15 to take input. I do see one person at the podium. Please identify yourself for the record.
I am Rita Shropshire, Chairperson of the Electoral Board of Henry County. The 1,133 registered voters of Mountain View District have voted at the former VFW building, Old Chatham Road, for several years. The former VFW building has been purchased by a church. The pastor of that church informed the Electoral Board the membership of the church voted to begin an extensive renovation project immediately to bring the building up to current codes. Not knowing the status of the renovation on election dates, the pastor requested the Electoral Board to move the voting precinct in 2021. To meet the requirements of within 1 mile of the precinct boundaries, the Woodland Heights Free Will Baptist Church, Old Chatham Road, seemed most likely to meet that requirement. After contacting the pastor of Woodland Heights Free Will Baptist Church and receiving an invitation, we visited the facilities. During our inspection, we found ample parking space, handicap accessibility, and other requirements necessary for a voting precinct. The Board of Deacons of that church voted on March the 7th to permit Woodland Heights Free Will Baptist Church to become a voting precinct for Mountain View District in Henry County. If the move of this precinct is approved, the registrar will send a letter to each registered voter in that precinct informing them of the change in the location of their voting precinct. The registrar will also post the change on the registrar's website, also on the county webpage, and put a publication in the Martinsville Bulletin within 7 days after the approval.
Is there anyone else wishing to address the board in regard to this matter on this public hearing? Seeing and hearing no one else, I will close the public hearing at 6:18. And I'm not sure, that's a borderline district. Is that Collinsville or?
Mine.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have no problems at all with moving that to Woodland Heights Free Will Baptist Church. So I'll make the motion that we reflect the changes as noted by the electoral board.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item 21, a public hearing for a community development block grant application referencing the restoration of the historic Fieldale Recreation Center. I know we have someone for planning that works with this, and Mr. Hall, will you give us background?
As part of the grant process for an application to the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, the board must hold a public hearing to allow citizens the opportunity to comment on the CDBG proposal to be submitted for the historic Fieldale Recreation Center restoration project. The public hearing has been properly advertised and scheduled for this meeting. Staff is also asking the board to approve a resolution in support of the application. If funded, the grant will provide up to $1 million toward the renovation of the historic Fieldale Recreation Center.
I'll open the public hearing to take input on this at 6:19. Is there anyone wishing to address the board in regard to this application? Yes, ma'am.
I'm Nancy Arnold, and actually I'm in the Collinsville district, but kind of the borderline of Fieldale and Collinsville. I have been affiliated with the Fieldale Rec Center and pools since we retired and came back to this area. We chose to live in the Fieldale area because of its historical value. The Fieldale Recreation Center building itself has been standing for over 100 years. And because of Lee and Tim and Mary Ann Mason and Deborah, we have had one grant already that redid the outside of the building, built an amphitheater where we have been having concerts, outdoor concerts. People have been coming to it. They're bringing people into Fieldale. This last year, we've been working with Lee and Tim and Mary Ann Mason and Deborah and basically the supervisors in general to get this block grant to redo the inside of the Fieldale Recreation Center building. We hired the Summit group from Richmond. They're a design and engineering group, and they have come up with a feasibility study, which is wonderful. I do have to admit that one of the things that they had suggested, the climbing walls, there's been some discussion about that within the group, because of the cost of insurance for if we add that. Our main concern with this grant is, and this is according to the Summit Group, the recreation center needs new wiring, new plumbing. The 3 classrooms that originally were a bowling alley at the rec center, it's got asbestos in the flooring. That is the only area in that whole gorgeous building that has got asbestos in it. It needs new plumbing. It needs a new gym floor. That gym floor, we actually have paid recently to have some sealant type thing put on it so that it could possibly be used before we get a brand new floor. That floor, we need that badly, because we've had actually before the rec center had closed before, we had men's volleyball teams that came and played there every week and paid to come. We have got to get that building back open. We got the pools open when everyone said it can't be done. It can't be done. Well, by George, we did it. And we've had it open for 3 years. Last year, obviously, we could not have it open because of the pandemic. We have been given the slide that had been at the Collinsville Recreation Center, Collinsville YMCA, by the YMCA group. We have that at the pools. They have given us tables. They are allowing their Silver Slipper group, which is people of certain ages have an insurance that includes Silver Slippers. And that insurance will pay for these people to come to the YMCA and to use the pools. Well, YMCA doesn't have any outdoor pools anymore. So we are allowing them to come to the pools at Fieldale. And the YMCA is going to pay for the Silver Slippers. We have the Boys and Girls Clubs coming to our pools. Our pools are the only 2 pools open, community pools, pools where children can come and play and have a good time. No discriminations. Everybody's welcome. In order to keep this thing going, we have got to be able to have that building fixed on the inside with the major, everything else, the walls, everything are in good shape. It's just the plumbing, electricity, heating, and the floor in the gym. Now, most of the things that the Summit Group came up with are feasible. We can do that. We have got a girls softball team that uses our ball field behind the building.
Ms.
every
Arnold,
year.
excuse me, you've kind of gone a little past, and I've been liberal with the time.
Okay.
Are you about to wrap up?
I'd like to just.
And I know that you're enthused over the project, and I know that the entire community is enthused over it.
Well, it's just, the thing is that building is the center of that community, and we don't want that community destroyed. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address? Yes, sir.
I want to address that, because I was down Douglas. I was born and raised in Fieldale, like Tommy Slaughter, and we all grew up there. We knew how important that YMCA was to us when we grew up. So I went back, I founded I founded the Philadelphia Heritage Festival, and I founded the Philadelphia Heritage Committee back in 2006. And then I worked with Lee Clark on the small town Smith River revitalization. And he's done a great job there, I think. All y'all have. And I think it's so important to keep this community center going. I went up there last week, and it was 50 or around 50 kids out there playing basketball in the ballpark. I counted, it was close to 50 people, and these kids need a place to go to. And I hope you do pass it. And then I like tip my hat to Andrew Cale. He came forward and told me he was going to get the pools open. And boy, they did. He and Jay Gilbert, Mike Gilley, and Kristen, they all worked, and other people. And they got to have over 6,000 people going through those pools every year. 6,000. So y'all pass this thing and get it going for Philadelphia. I appreciate it.
Is anyone else wishing to address the board during this public hearing? Anyone else? Seeing and hearing no one, again, I think the word collaboration is appropriate. There have been numerous people associated with this. Ms. Arnold, you were very appropriate in pointing out the different ones. It is a community that's very proud of their heritage. Mr. Clark's office has worked closely with this, and I can assure you that he has a top-notch person, Mary Ann Mason, that will work with this as a grant administrator. Both Ms. Buchanan and Mr. Slaughter have worked on a Smith River Small Town Collaborative. Ms. Buchanan, I know this is in your district.
Mm-hmm. As Nancy Arnold said, and she is chairman of the Philadelphia Heritage Committee, they've been working on the grounds. They put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making this a reality. They've done a lot of fundraisers, and I understand that the pools are getting ready to open. And I think they are committed to seeing this project continue to move forward and seeing it through to completion. I think all of us are. And so, Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion that we approve this application.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? It is 6-0, Jennifer. Agenda item 22, matters presented by the public. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board on the matters presented by the public tonight? Anyone wishing to address the board on the matters presented by the public? Seeing and hearing no one. Mr. Hall, do you have any other items of business for the board's consideration?
No, sir.
Board members, do you have any other items?
No, sir.
I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Moved.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor? It's 6-0, Jennifer.